Today's explainer starts with a message from someone who reached out, looking for a way through a really difficult time. It's an incredibly honest and raw account of a situation that I know many people face, often in silence, so I want to start by letting you hear it in their own words.
Here's what they wrote. I need a perspective and advice. Outside my box. My life is a complete mess. I have a child of whom I am the only parent, but I also have debts. Many debts that my salary can no longer cover, a bad credit rating, and a lien. There are times when we eat bread and salt, because in the past, out of stupidity, credit, refinance credit, and now, despite the restrictions, a small part of the obligations can be covered. I'm looking for additional work, but the child is relatively small, that is, he is not independent, and I cannot leave him alone and work constantly. I have no one to rely on. A bank cannot grant me a loan because of my bad history and delays. The only good thing is that we do not pay rent, but I cannot mortgage the apartment. We all make mistakes. This is how I calm down. And I'm under pressure every day about how we're going to live. I haven't been able to sleep for months. I'm getting more and more desperate and losing meaning. What good side do I show to this child's life? Why does he have to live in deprivation because of me? Why am I a parent when I can't look after myself? And I want it so much that it's not like this and that we can start over. I don't consider myself a stupid person, but I clearly am, since things have come this far. If I'm gone, will it be better for the child? What exactly is my psychological problem since I live like this today? Is there a way out? How do I start over? Where do I start? What do I do?
So, the very first and most important thing to say in response to that is this. What you are describing is not laziness. It is not stupidity. And it is absolutely not a lack of character. It is the sound of a human being who is being crushed by huge, heavy pressures all at once. The weight of single parenthood, the stress of financial survival, the feeling of being isolated. You know, any one of those is tough. All of them together, that's overwhelming for anyone.
Now, let's talk about the guilt in that message, because it is so intense. The fact that you worry, that you are agonizing over your child's well-being, that right there is the clearest proof that you are a good, loving parent. Bad parents? They don't ask these questions. They're marked by apathy, not anxiety. Your worry is coming from a place of deep, profound love, even if right now it feels like it's being turned against you.
That letter held one of the most painful thoughts a parent could ever have. And we have to look at it. We have to look at it directly without any judgment. If I'm gone, will it be better for the child? This thought, it isn't a reflection of your love. It's not a secret desire. It's a symptom.
And let me be as clear as I possibly can be on this. This is a thought born of utter exhaustion. It is not a thought born of truth. When your mind and your body hit their absolute limit, when the pressure feels like it's just too much to bear, your brain starts desperately searching for any escape route it can find. This thought is a distress flare. It's a signal from a system that is completely and totally overloaded. It is not a logical conclusion.
Your child doesn't need a life without financial struggle. They don't need a perfect home or perfect circumstances. What they need is you. They need you here, alive, present, loving them. You see, the pain of not having enough things, that's temporary. It can be overcome, but the loss of a parent, that is a wound that shapes an entire life. Your presence is the single most valuable, most irreplaceable thing your child will ever have.
And because that thought is a sign of extreme distress, it is so important to know that you should not have to carry it by yourself. If that thought or any thought like it starts to show up more often, or it feels more insistent, that is the moment to reach out. In many countries, there is a free 24/7 national emotional support line. A number like 116123 is for anyone who feels like they have reached their limit. Calling isn't a sign of weakness. It's a tool. It's a tool for survival.
Now, the letter asks a really direct and powerful question. What exactly is my psychological problem? And this is such a good question because it starts to shift us from just feeling all that pain to actually understanding the mechanics behind it. And you know what? Understanding is always the first step toward making a change.
So here's the most critical distinction we need to make. The problem is not some defect in you. These feelings, the hopelessness, the sleepless nights, the feeling of being trapped, these are states. They are not your identity. Think of it like having a fever. The fever is a state your body is in. It isn't who you are. And just like a fever, these conditions can be treated, they can be managed, and you can move through them.
So, what are these states really? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a combination, kind of like a perfect storm. You've got the physical toll of chronic stress from being in survival mode 24/7. You've got that deep, biting parental guilt. You've got all the classic signs of emotional burnout and even depressive symptoms: losing sleep, losing hope, losing a sense of meaning. And then there's one more key piece to this puzzle.
And that piece is called learned helplessness. It's a very real psychological state. It happens when you try and you try and you try to fix a situation, but every door you push on seems to be locked. After a while, your brain actually learns, nothing I do matters. This isn't a personal failure, it's a completely predictable response to a situation that feels inescapable. It's like being stuck in quicksand. The more you struggle, the more stuck you feel.
Which, of course, brings us to those final and most important questions. Is there a way out? And how do I start over? The answer to that first question is yes, absolutely. The answer to the second one, though, that requires us to rethink what starting over even means.
You know, the idea of a fresh start can feel totally paralyzing because it sounds so huge, like you have to burn everything down and build a whole new life. So let's use a different metaphor. Let's think of it as stopping the leaks. Right now, your energy, your hope, your money, it's all leaking out. The first job isn't to build a brand new ship, it's to patch the holes in the one you're already on.
So, for the next 30 days, we're going to change the focus. The goal is not fix all my debts. The goal is to stabilize yourself, because you are the foundation. Nothing gets fixed if the foundation crumbles. And a huge part of that is to consciously, actively stop the self-blame. It's just an energy thief. It doesn't pay a single bill. It doesn't solve a single problem. It just steals the very energy you need to actually fix things.
Okay, let's get practical and talk about the lien. When you're in a state of distress, a word like lien can feel like the end of the world, but it's so important to separate the feeling from the reality. The reality is, there are systems for this. You can almost always negotiate payment plans, there are free legal aid and social services in most communities, and crucially, there are often legal protections to make sure you have a minimum income, especially when there's a child involved. You have more rights and more options than you feel like you do right now.
And the problem of needing to earn more money while caring for a young child, it feels like an impossible trap. But the traditional 9-to-5 job isn't the only way. Start thinking differently. What about remote, task-based projects you can do in small chunks of time? What about asynchronous work, things you can do in the evening after your child is asleep? Even small, flexible micro-incomes can start to add up, and more importantly, they give you back a sense of control and agency.
So let's bring it all back to the single most important message here. Through all of this, the debt, the stress, the sleepless nights, the parenting, you have to remember this. You are not required to carry this alone. The belief that you have to is one of the biggest symptoms of burnout and depression. It's a lie that isolates you right when you need connection the most. And this leads to the biggest mental shift you can make. Start seeing the act of asking for help not as an admission of failure, but as a smart, tactical decision. It is the single most strategic move you can make when your own resources are running on empty. Reaching out to a social worker, a free legal service, or a support line is an act of incredible strength and resourcefulness.
There is a way out of this. It's not built with one giant leap, but with small, steady, strategic steps. And the very first step, the one that really can change everything, might just be making a phone call. Please remember, you are not required to carry this alone. There is a way out.